Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where it's not a good time to be in the movie business, at least in the theatrical model. Now, some of you might be wondering, hey, we've been in this pandemic for a while now. Why is the Delta variant causing so many problems? And I'd be curious to hear what your approach to moviegoing is right now down below. But I will tell you, and it's a shame that there are going to be some of you who don't believe this because science backs it up. But anyway, the original strand of the coronavirus was as contagious as the common cold. But the Delta variant is as contagious as chickenpox, which is considerably more contagious. So people who felt comfortable going to a movie beforehand, I think the Delta variant now gives them pause. So it's all the progress that was made for that little window when F9 and Black Widow opened is truly gone right now. And I don't know how we're going to get out of it, to be honest with you. It's bad. All right, so what a mess. All right, we're getting more Delta variant box office information to better understand this beast that we're dealing with from a business perspective. But I got to tell you, we still need more data. We need Shang Chi. We need to see how that movie performs. We got to have the whole set. I think it's still too early because right now, with the information that we got this weekend, as I said, it's not looking good. After PG-13 Free Guy opened in the high 20s, here comes R-rated Candyman in the low 20s, which makes us have to wonder if this is the new opening weekend range. Remember, like at the beginning of the pandemic, or when movies started to come back, you could only open around a 4 unless you were really lucky, but that was like the baseline. Are we looking at the 20s as the new baseline? That's not a good baseline for blockbusters. And I said Candyman was like lower because it was R-rated, but it is worth pointing out that Jordan Peele's last movie, Us, was also rated R and opened like a blockbuster movie. So, Candyman, I think, could have done a little bit better. And speaking of R-rated blockbusters, that's right, Suicide Squad fans, don't worry. I'm going to point it out. This is some good news for you. This is a little bit of redemption, as that DCEU film did open in the same 20 million range. Now, are its large drops afterwards due to being available on HBO Max at no extra cost, although it's a very expensive streaming service, while Free Guy has strongholds because it's theaters only? Today's movie math, I'm going to try and bring up arguments as they come up. So we're going to do a little bit of a dance here. All right, so Free Guy, by the way, demonstrated yet another incredible hold in its third weekend with just a 27% drop. It's holding even better than Jungle Cruise, but that might be because it's theaters only and Jungle Cruise was, of course, day and date, but for $30 a pop. But back to Free Guy, can it get to the century mark with 4-quadrant Marvel blockbuster and fellow Disney film Shang Chi opening next weekend? I'm not sure if Free Guy can get to 100 million, to be honest with you, despite how well it's done. I think it just didn't open big enough. Jungle Cruise opened mid-30s. And Jungle Cruise, just past the century mark itself, it did get to 100 million. And there's no way, by the way, that the Suicide Squad is hitting the century mark, even though fellow HBO Max day and date film Godzilla vs. Kong was able to do so. Although that might be part of that F9 Black Widow window. But it can be done. Now, what about the R rating? Is that to blame for the Suicide Squad not getting anywhere near the century mark? Well, the Suicide Squad won't even be able to match The Conjuring 3, another HBO Max, no extra cost R-rated release, which has a good $10 million lead on that movie. Don't worry, there's still some good news for Suicide Squad today. This is difficult to untangle. Back to digital, we just learned that Jungle Cruise in its opening weekend when it hit Disney Plus Premier Access was the third most watched movie in streaming. But we'll never see the Suicide Squad on this chart because HBO Max doesn't participate in Nielsen ratings. However, we have this chart from Samba TV. Who the heck is Samba TV? We still don't know for sure, but people are so eager to get some kind of picture as to how streaming is doing, Samba TV is used by the trade. So I think they're fair game for our discussions. Now, Samba TV has this HBO Max only chart for their movies, and The Suicide Squad is number 3. It's the top streamed DCEU movie by a lot. So that is another sign of encouragement for The Suicide Squad, at least on streaming, and that means also for the upcoming Peacemaker show. Now, Let's take a moment, though, to marvel at Mortal Kombat's performance. Bigger than even Godzilla vs. Kong. Imagine if the movie had been top-notch. I mean, it was a good movie. I thought it was fun. I thought it was surprisingly entertaining. And I thought it was a fun weekend with everybody tweeting about it. I'll never forget it. That was a great time. Maybe that's one of the reasons it did so well, particularly on HBO Max. It really had the Mortal Kombat community really showed up. And for a weekend, we all got to, for a while, because you can see this is for more than just the opening weekend, we all got to be a part of it. That was really nice. Now, there are rumors that with the Discovery purchase of Warner Brothers from AT&T, NetherRealm might go somewhere else. It might in the near future not be a part of Warner Brothers. But as you can see, wherever they end up, NetherRealm is home to an extremely strong and therefore very valuable IP. Will that make Discovery want to keep it and hold on to it? Or will they want to maybe sell it because they'll be able to get a very good amount of money for it? We'll see what happens. The Discovery deal was about a year away from going into place from when it happened. So, it's still somewhere in 2022 we're going to see that start to finally take shape. Now, how do you tell the quality of a movie's performance these days if the box office is such an unpredictable mess? Well, I say you look at drops. I say, week to week, weekend to weekend. I think you look at the box office total. I think you do look at the streaming numbers, that's why it's so important that we have a good picture of these things. And I think you also look at audience scores, because particularly Cinemascore, which has been a very good determinant of of the legs that a movie will have, how long it can stay in theaters. Because I think Cinemascore can't be manipulated by fans like other Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb scores. Those can be manipulated. CinemaScore is done in person at the theater, and so it's spot polling. Not spot polling, as we know from politics, isn't perfect, but it's the best thing we've got, and it's proven to be a very good determinant. So Free Guy and Jungle Cruise have excellent audience scores, while The Suicide Squad and Candyman, not so much. This is another B, by the way, for Jordan Peele after Us. He's got to be careful not to become the new M. Night Shyamalan, known for clever, high-gloss setups that ultimately don't deliver. However, M. Night is still working to this day. Old did open at number 1. So I guess there are worse fates. But come on, Jordan Peele, you just got to fix the third act of your screenplays. That's all you got to do. And then you will be absolutely golden once more. I'm not willing to say he's the new M. Night just yet. I'm going to give him another movie. I'm excited about his next movie. And to be fair, he didn't direct this film. And I still have a lot of faith in Nia DaCosta. I know a director is responsible for the script, but think about it. Think about the dynamic there politically. She's a new director, very excited to be on her first big mainstream film. I don't know how many notes she can give Jordan Peele. And I still think her visuals were amazing. So I'm still very excited for her future work. But this is a little bit of a not great situation for everybody involved, that B. That's pretty bad. That should be a wake-up call to those people, and I hope that it is. All right, just like the lower score for the Suicide Squad I think that the brand has some... I think it's DC. People love DC. I don't know why Warner Brothers makes it so hard to love them. All right, so anyway, will Shang-Chi be the third strike before Hollywood decides the Delta variant box office is not viable? We're going to find out. We're just a week away from that answer. Right now, the Marvel flick is projected by the industry to open with $45 million over the 4-day Hollywood weekend. A lot of you are tweeting me like, no, it's going to do better, Grace, but I just want you to know that's what the industry is projecting. And so far, their projections have been pretty close to where the movies end up. But I have to say, if it doesn't have a 5 in front of it, expect a lot of release dates to change in the week or so after when everybody comes back from Labor Day, their Labor Day holiday in the industry. You're going to see some movies move. And then some of them will move quite fast to get a better new date. Because the further down dates are going to fill up fast. So let's just see how Shang-Chi does. Candyman is a difficult comp because it's an R-rated horror movie that's not designed to be a 4-quadrant film, although Us did perform like a 4-quadrant film. So that shows that film did do some damage to Jordan Peele's reputation with moviegoers. I think that if Us had been a stronger film, Candyman would have opened bigger. But the trades are pointing out that older moviegoers, regardless, and families are staying away from theaters right now. Although, how do you explain Jungle Cruise then? And also Paw Patrol, that was okay. I think perhaps maybe those moviegoers are becoming more selective. Moviegoers, I think, are definitely becoming more selective. Not only because of the pandemic, but because streaming has stepped up its game so much, and people are fine waiting the 45 days, sometimes less, as we're about to talk about with respect. But this is why Hotel Transylvania 4 and the Addams Family went either totally digital or digital day and date as Halloween family films. Shang Chi's demographic breakdowns will be extremely important, as again, it's a 4-quadrant Marvel movie over a holiday weekend. And, usually people like to spend Labor Day, celebrating the last few days of summer outside. But we've been outside for like over a year and a half now, because that's really the only activities that are safe. So there's no reason not to go to see Shang Chi this coming weekend unless you're worried about the Delta variant. So that's why this is such an important test. As to the rest of the box office this weekend, The Jungle Cruise also had an incredible hold. And on Tuesday, will hit regular PVOD for purchase as it starts its digital journey outside of Disney+. Outside of Disney's Free Guy and Jungle Cruise, no other movies could hold as well, and Respect hit PVOD on Tuesday just 2 weeks after its theatrical debut, and it's doing very well at number 2. So again, they say 45 days is the window, but if you guys don't go see these movies, which again is not a good precedent to set because you're just not going to go, you're going to get them faster on streaming. That's what they're doing. So I think that's also something the studios will keep an eye on. They're like, why not just go right to streaming or delay the film even more? For the week of July, so let's head over to streaming. For the week of July 26th, we have our latest Nielsen charts. And 2 weeks after its finale, the bottom has fallen out under Loki. It's still in the top 10, but boy, did it drop from like number 2 or 3 last week, leaving Netflix to once again dominate original shows. Speaking of original shows, Manifest is about to become a Netflix original. Hooray! Yes, even though the streaming service originally passed on resurrecting the canceled NBC mystery, they just closed a deal to bring back one final supersized season with 20 episodes that they'll do in parts like they do with some other shows. Like part 1 of season 4, part 2, etc. The internet was delighted, as they should be, as they made this happen by not only tweeting about Manifest, but just plain watching it on Netflix, where it has consistently been in the top 10, including this week. Then over on movies on Nielsen, Disney Plus is still a major competitor here, able to take up half the list with a mix of premiere access and no extra cost movies. Look at that, Black Widow even popped back up there. Black Widow won't be free on Disney Plus until October 6th. At no extra cost. In fact, Netflix only has 4 movies. It's not an even split even, because Amazon's Tomorrow War is also still going strong. On Netflix this week, Addison Rae might have a career as an actress after all, at least on digital, with He's All That debuting at number 1, with new series Clickbait right after that. And look at that crazy Bob Ross expose. They didn't have a trailer, they had a clip, so it didn't really compel me to watch it. But did you watch it? Is it any good? Should the rest of us watch it? I'm intrigued. As for iTunes, once again, we see so many waiting for recent theatrical hits to simply hit digital 45 days or less later. And Spider-Man Far From Home also popped into the top 10 thanks to the new trailer for No Way Home. You can see why Disney Plus wants those Sony Marvel movies on their service, which they soon will have thanks to their recent deal. Remember, that's for after the Pay 1 window. So the deal, just to reiterate, is that Sony movies will first go to theaters, then they'll go to paid purchases and rentals on PVOD, then they'll go to Netflix for the Pay 1 window, and then they will go to Disney Plus eventually. Disney doesn't care, though. They don't want recent Sony movies. They want those Spider-Man movies on their service. All right, so anyway, as for this coming week, Labor Day weekend, this is usually a terrible time for movies, as I said, at theaters, because people want to be outside. But again, this is a major movie. As I said, watching Shang Chi, I felt like it was pre-pandemic. That's how good the movie is. It was such an incredible experience. And so this will be one of the biggest box office tests of the pandemic with this movie. Interestingly, just like Black Widow was a big test, Shang Chi, theaters only, is a huge test. Also for Black Widow and that lawsuit. While Cinderella, once destined for theaters itself, is now an Amazon Prime film at no extra cost, and that will also debut on Friday. Speaking of streaming, on Tuesday, the new Mortal Kombat animated movie debuts on PVOD and physical copies. I'll have my review up tomorrow. While Only Murders in the Building starts on Hulu, and Marie Kondo has a new series on Netflix. Netflix is in fact going very strong into the holiday weekend. They are taking no prisoners. So you've got not only that new Marie Kondo show, but on Thursday we've got new movie Afterlife of the Party and new animated series Q-Force. Well, on Friday there's a new season of Money Heist and a 9/11 dramatic film Worth with Michael Keaton and Stanley Tucci. So that's this week's movie math. What have you been watching? What do you plan to watch this coming holiday weekend? Or if you're everywhere outside the United States, just this coming weekend, are you going to go see Shang Chi in theaters? Very curious to see how that does. And what do you think of the Delta variant box office? How is it looking to you? Share your thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.